wishing you the loveliest of Marches. Happy first day of March, my non-existent viewers. And a year ago, around this time, for Pokemon's 26th anniversary, I did a whole week, like 6 back-to-back videos, ranking my top 5 favorite Pokemon of each type for Pokemon Week, for Pokemon's anniversary last year. This past Monday was Pokemon's 27th anniversary. I'm doing another little mini-series of Pokemon-themed videos. I figured this year, we could do the reverse. My top 5 worst Pokemon. These are my 5 least favorite Pokemon, and I was originally gonna do my least worst Pokemon of each type, kind of like what I did last year. But then as I was playing this video, I realized something. There's just not enough Pokemon that I've used, or Pokemon out there, at least whether I've used them or not, that I've flat out disliked. I look at most Pokemon, it's yeah, its design is neat, or it's got decent stats, decent type, or it has nostalgic flair to it. But I really just, I got really honest with myself. I was like, there's only a very small handful of Pokemon that I dislike, whether it's me not liking their designs, or not liking their move sets, or their weaknesses, or whether they're just rip-offs Pokemon from previous generations. So this list was kind of difficult for me to piece together, so here I am just gonna breeze through these, my top 5 least favorite Pokemon of all time. And keep in mind, this is purely based on my opinion. These are my hot takes. There's no need to feel attacked by this video if you like any Pokemon on my list. I'm not saying why you should hate these Pokemon. These are why I don't like these Pokemon. So let's begin. Number 5! Kicking off the list, my number 5 spot goes to Crabominable. Not because, the main issue with Crabominable is its wasted potential. This is as far as I know, the first ice and fighting type, and the only Pokemon with that dual type. I love fighting types, and pairing out ice type is a great idea on paper, make it Yeti themed. I thought that was really cool, but the thing is, with Craball or its pre-evolution, you can't evolve it into Crabominable until, when you get to Mount Lanakala, or whatever it's called, in the Alola region, which is near the end of the game. Basically, this game's equivalent of the Elite Four, Victory Road. And you have to wait so long to evolve it, and its design is just it's just ugly. And again, I love the idea of a Yeti themed ice fighting type Pokemon, but they paired it with a crab of all animals. Okay, why not just have a regular ass Yeti Pokemon? If I were ever turn a country into a Pokemon region, kind of like how Paldea is based on Spain and Portugal. If they turned India into a Pokemon region and had one of its main legendary Pokemon be a Yeti themed ice fighting type legendary, that'd be awesome. I think they should do that, or at least why hybridize it with a crab? Why not hybridize Yeti with an Ice Age mammal of some kind, like a mammoth or a saber-toothed cat? Well, I guess they already did that with mammoth swine, but just why a crab of all animals? Crabominable, everything about it, you just look at it and it's just it's just so stupid. My number 4 choice goes to Basculin. I actually recently did some research as why Basculin exists, because in the black and white days, there's a red stripe form and a blue stripe form. There's barely any differences between the two forms. You gotta look very closely at the differences, and it's okay, one has a slight red stripe, one has a slight blue stripe. And apparently the reason why they introduced Basculin is because, their whole shtick was hey, there's no there's no Pokemon from previous generations until post-game. And I guess Game Freak realized they had to introduce more fishes, more fish-themed, water Pokemon, so they just had to introduce Basculin. Why not, but they have this one, and hey, instead of introduce multiple different types of fishes, let's just have one fish Pokemon for Unova, and just not have it evolve into anything. They could at least done a Feebas or Magikarp sort of thing where it evolves as a sea serpent like Milotic or Gyarados, but nope, it's just this stupid looking fish as just 2 forms. It's just, again, back in the days when Black and White was introduced, I really could not get into those games because the whole no new older Pokemon until post game, and that would have been better if they were just more creative with the new designs. And Basculin is just an example of those that just was not very well designed. Number 3. My number 3 spot, another Unova Pokemon, is Garbodor. Look, I don't have anything against Pokemon being based on inanimate objects like Vanillux, the ice cream Pokemon from Black and White, or, Geodude, who's basically just an arm with rocks. I don't have a problem with inanimate objects being turned into Pokemon, but a Pokemon that's a literal steaming pile of garbage, what were they thinking with Garbodor? He's so ugly! Who want, I don't, okay, I don't get like Unova fans being like, oh, this generation had like the best designs of all time. How? They designed a Pokemon off of little garbage. It's garbage. It's like it's trash, and it's ugly, and it's hideous looking, and its face, it's looking at me like it just wants to eat me, and just like, ugh, I don't want to look at it anymore. Just let's go to the next one. My number 2 choice, another Ice-type Pokemon, is Aurorus. Again, kind of the Crabominable. My biggest issue with Aurorus is 2 things, actually. 1, its weaknesses, and 2, its wasted potential. Like, an Ice Rock fossil Pokemon, like, why make it a dinosaur? I understand there's a lot of speculation as to whether, like, you know, dinosaurs could live. There is evidence suggesting that dinosaurs could live in, like, cold, like, Arctic environments, like Nanosaurus, for example. But why make it a sauropod? Why not make it like a theropod? Like, you know, like I said, Nanosaurus or Tyrannus, or, you know, or like a raptor species, sometimes just give it really thick feathers. Why make it a sauropod? And also, ice and rock, those are just like really worst type combinations you could possibly have. Aurorus has a 4 times weakness to fighting and steel, and is weak because ice only resists ice, right? So that therefore it inherits rock's weaknesses as well. It's also weak against water, grass, and ground. All those are very common offensive types, so you put Aurorus out in the battle, and it's gonna get steamrolled like immediately because it also has like the 4 times weakness to fighting and steel. So it's like, just what was Game 3? What were they thinking when they made this? Like, really honest question to anyone who's ever played Pokemon X or Y. I chose Y. When you got that quest where you could choose between the Jaw Fossil for Tyrunt, or like the Sail Fossil, whatever it was for, you know, for Aurorus, like, how many people actually chose Aurorus over Tyrantrum? Like, just, I obviously I chose Tyrantrum. Even if you didn't put Tyrantrum as like the main member of your team like I did back in the Y days, like, I'd be very hard pressed to find like a Pokemon player who actually who didn't choose a Jaw Fossil personally. Okay, my number 1 worst Pokemon of all time. This is, like, I just couldn't. When I saw this thing in, you know, the black and white days, I immediately just couldn't stand it. That, my friends, is Swoobat, because it is such a blatant ripoff of the Zubat, Golbat, and Crobat. Like, Crobat has been one of my favorite Pokemon ever since I was a preteen. You know, I caught a little baby, like, level 7 Zubat in Orberg City back in the Platinum days, named her Zanya, which is short for lasagna, and I was like, you know what? There are many Zubats like this, but this one is mine, and I'm gonna level it up to become an absolute killing machine. And I did. It's now like an 88 level like Crobat. It was the first Pokemon evolved through friendship, so as a diehard Crobat fan, this Pokemon Swoobat is just a blatant ripoff of Crobat, and it's a psychic type. It even has the type advantage over Crobat. It's like Game Freak made this Pokemon, like a lot of Unova Pokemon actually, specifically to piss off old fans like myself. Like, hey, we're gonna make this region with no old Pokemon from older generations still post-game. So we gotta, like, you know, obviously we're gonna recycle some models, so let's take another Bat Pokemon. Let's say, hey, this is like the super duper better Bat Pokemon compared to Crobat because, hey, it's a Psychic type over a Poison type. And I'm just like, no, they did. Like, Swoobat is to Crobat like what the Spinosaurus is to the T-Rex in the 3rd Jurassic Park movie. It's like, no, we love the original thing. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And you're doing this, like, you want to have another Bat Pokemon, great, but make it a Dark type, make it an Ice type, make it a Fighting type, make it, you know, just don't make it like a Psychic type, just, ugh. And it's like, you know, they say gotta catch them all. Whenever I come across like an enemy player, like an enemy trainer, like when you go throughout the Pokemon quest and you see like a Woobat or a Swoobat or a trainer that has like Woobat or Swoobat, I'm just like, die, I'm not gonna catch you, I'm just gonna kill you, and that's it. Alright, so do you guys agree with my choices? What's your pick for like your least favorite Pokemon? You could do like your least favorite Pokemon, or like your top 5, your top 10, top 20. You could list off your least favorite Pokemon of each type. Let me know in the comments down below, and subscribe to my channel, please. My name is TV9. You guys have a good night, and stay beastly.